divorced, broken, embarrassment. The words burned across a massive screen at my sister's wedding reception 10 feet wide, impossible to ignore. 200 guests laughed. Not politely, not awkwardly. They laughed like it was entertainment. My stepfather smiled from the front table and raised his glass. "Relax, sweetheart," he said. "It's just a joke." My mother didn't even look at me. She swirled her wine slowly, watching the room the way someone watches a performance they helped direct. And my sister, the bride, leaned into the microphone, her white dress glowing under the lights. "Don't laugh too hard," she said lightly. "She might actually cry." I didn't cry. I didn't move. I just reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and typed one word: begin. I hit send. And just like that, the room changed. The laughter didn't fade gradually. It stopped. Sharp, sudden, like something invisible had snapped. You could hear the ice shifting in my mother's glass. What happened next didn't just ruin the reception. It tore apart 16 years of carefully constructed lies. It exposed everything my family had built their reputation on and everything they had buried about me. But before I tell you how that happened, take a second to like and subscribe, only if stories like this actually mean something to you. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? What time is it where you are right now? My name is Celinda Carter. I'm 34 years old. And to understand why I pressed that button, I need to take you back. 4 weeks before the wedding. To the night everything started. It was 11 p.m. on a Thursday. I was sitting at my desk in Hawthorne City, reviewing elevation drawings for a historic courthouse restoration, cold coffee, a stiff neck, a completely ordinary night, until my phone lit up. Unknown number, local area code but not from the city, from somewhere smaller, somewhere I hadn't gone back to in years. I answered. Celinda Carter. The voice was calm, professional. "My name is Marina Alvarez. I'm a nurse at Silver Oaks Care Center." My grip tightened around the phone. "Your grandmother asked me to call you." My chest went still. Grandma Elise, 83 years old. The only person in that family who ever made me feel like I wasn't a mistake. "She's scheduled for hip surgery in 3 weeks," Marina continued. "Her condition is stable, but at her age, there are risks." I closed my eyes. "She's been asking for you. 2 years. That's how long it had been since I last saw her. Not because I didn't want to, because I wasn't allowed to. The last time, I had slipped into the facility on a weekday afternoon, knowing my stepfather wouldn't be there. We sat together for 40 minutes. She held my hand, told me about the flowers she could no longer tend, and for those 40 minutes, I felt like I still had a family. Then someone mentioned my visit, and just like that, everything changed. The front desk received instructions. Clear ones. Celinda Carter is not on the approved visitor list. Marina's voice softened. "There's something else," she said. I straightened slightly. "Your stepfather told your grandmother that you could visit." A pause. "But only if you attend your sister's wedding first." Of course. There were always conditions. Always a price. "And Celinda," Marina added quietly, "your grandmother wanted me to tell you one more thing." I waited. "They're planning something at the reception." Silence stretched between us. "Something about you." My fingers curled tighter around the phone. "She said you should be ready." I ended the call and sat there, staring at the wall across from my desk. A framed certificate hung there. Hawthorne Architectural Society Rising Architect of the Year. 5 years. 5 years of silence. No calls, no visits, no acknowledgement that I even existed. And the first voice I hear from that town isn't my mother's. It isn't my sister's. It's a nurse. calling to warn me. The following section contains fictional elements and is supported by artificial intelligence for educational and emotional purposes. I hope you will have an enjoyable experience listening to it. Now, let's continue to understand what happened next. I have to take you further back. 16 years. I'm 18. Senior year. Sitting at the kitchen table in my parents' house in Ashford Ridge, a town where everyone knows your last name and exactly how much your family is worth. My stepfather, Daniel Carter, slides a document across the table, a land transfer form. The property is 2 acres just outside town, open grass, a narrow creek cutting through the edge, one old oak tree that had been there longer than any of us. My grandmother, Elise, gave it to me when I turned 16, signed it over legally, looked me in the eyes and said, "This is yours. Celinda, no matter what happens." Daniel taps the paper. "I need this parcel for the Ridgeway development." He says, "Your grandmother gave it to me, and I'm telling you to give it back." I look at my mother. Lorraine Carter sits at the end of the table, flipping through a home design magazine. She doesn't look up, doesn't speak. The only sound in the room is paper turning. I don't sign. 3 days later, my college tuition fund disappears. The account that had been building since I was born gone. I find out from a letter sent by the admissions office. Payment not received. 1 week after that, Daniel stands in the foyer, arms crossed. "If you walk out that door," he says, "you don't come back." My younger sister, Vanessa, 11 years old, watches from the top of the staircase. She doesn't say anything. She just watches. I leave with 1 duffel bag and $43 in my bank account. That same night, Daniel tells the neighbors I dropped out, that I ran away with some guy, that I broke my mother's heart. None of it was true, but in Ashford Ridge, his version of the story was the only one that mattered. After that door closed behind me, I slept in my car for 2 weeks, parked behind a gas station off the highway. I worked inside that same station during the day, late nights, early mornings, counting change and pretending I wasn't exhausted. At 19, I got my GED. At the same time, I was waitressing double shifts at a diner that smelled like burnt grease and industrial cleaner. I applied to community college, got in, transferred 2 years later to Eastbrook State University on a need-based scholarship. I chose architecture, not because it was easy, because it wasn't. Because it meant building something permanent, something no one could take away with a signature. I graduated at 23. No one came, no calls, no messages, no one sitting in the audience looking for me. I walked across the stage anyway, shook the dean's hand, smiled for a photo no one would ever ask to see. Then I went back to my tiny studio apartment, sat on the floor, and ate takeout straight from the container. At 24, I made another mistake. I married Ethan Caldwell. I had met him through one of Daniel's old business connections before everything fell apart. He was 12 years older, polished, charming, the kind of man people trusted instantly, in public. He was perfect. In private, he was something else entirely. He controlled my bank account, filtered my calls, decided which friends I was allowed to keep. Every part of my life slowly became something I needed permission to access. He wasn't loud about it. He didn't need to be. It was quiet, calculated, familiar. A softer version of the same control I had grown up with. I left him at 27. No dramatic scene, no big confrontation. Just a decision I made one morning when I realized I couldn't breathe in my own life anymore. At 28. I sat in a clinic waiting room under harsh fluorescent lights. A doctor told me I wouldn't be able to have children. Just like that. Clinical. Final. I sat there alone, holding a magazine that was 2 years out of date, staring at a page I never actually read. I didn't call anyone. There wasn't anyone to call. Somehow. Vanessa found out. Not from me. From Ethan. He had stayed in contact with my family even after the divorce. He always liked having leverage, and my life had always been useful to them when it could be turned into something small. He always needed something to hold over people. That never changed. What changed was me. Now I'm 34. A senior architect at Hawthorne and Vale in Hawthorne City. I specialize in restoring historic structures, courthouses, libraries, old theaters that people had almost forgotten existed. Buildings with history. Buildings that had survived longer than the people who tried to control them. In the professional world, I go by S. Carter Vale. I kept part of my ex-husband's last name because that's how the industry knew me. It wasn't about him. It was about continuity, reputation, recognition. I didn't hide my life from my family to be dramatic. I stopped sharing it because they had already decided who I was, and nothing I did would change that. Back in Ashford Ridge, none of them knew who I had become. The morning after Marina's call, I sat in my office with the door closed. Through the glass, I could see Evan at his desk, focused, headphones on, running simulations like nothing could shake him. He's calm in a way most people aren't, the kind of person who doesn't react quickly. But when he does, it matters. He's also the closest thing I have to family. I called Marina back. How serious is the surgery, I asked. She hesitated. At her age, there are risks. I closed my eyes. She's been asking for you. Marina added. She says your name at night. She keeps your letters under her pillow. That hit harder than anything else. In that family, loving me had always been something you had to hide. I hung up and sat there, knowing I only had two choices. Go back. Face whatever they had planned. See her, or stay safe, and risk never seeing her again. I stood up and walked to Evan's office. He looked up immediately. What's wrong? I told him everything. The wedding, the condition, the warning. He listened without interrupting, then leaned back slightly. If you go with a plan, not hope. I know. And you're going. I nodded. She's 83. If something goes wrong, he didn't make me finish. We'll make sure you're not walking in blind, he said. That night, I booked a hotel in Ashford Ridge. Not the house. Never the house. A place I could leave whenever I wanted. Then I chose my dress. Navy blue, structured, sharp, not soft, not invisible, not something my mother would ever approve of. I already knew she'd try to hand me something dull, something that would make me disappear. I folded my dress and set it aside. Go with a plan, not hope. So I built one, piece by piece, and for the first time in 16 years, I wasn't afraid of going back, because they still thought I was the same girl who left with $43. They had no idea who was coming back. 3 weeks before the wedding, Daniel set his condition. If I wanted my name cleared at the front desk, if I wanted to see my grandmother without being treated like a trespasser, I had to attend a family dinner. So I drove 2 hours back to Ashford Ridge. The house hadn't changed. White columns, perfect lawn, American flag by the door, everything controlled, polished, staged. No one hugged me. My mother, Lorraine, looked me over. You look thin. Are you eating? I didn't answer. Concern, with her, was never concern. It was control disguised as a question. Daniel sat at the head of the table. Same chair, same posture. So, what are you doing with yourself these days? I work at a design firm. Answering phones. I assume. I picked up my fork and said nothing. He had already decided who I was. Lorraine flipped another page in her magazine. Vanessa arrived late, trailing perfume and confidence. She flashed her engagement ring under the light. 4 carats. After dinner. She pulled me aside. "I need you to wear something understated," she said. "Ryan's family is very particular." Then she tilted her head slightly. "You're still alone?" "Right." I stayed quiet. She smiled. "Some people just aren't built for that life." Before I left, my mother handed me a garment bag. I didn't open it until I was outside. Inside was a beige dress. Loose. Shapeless. Designed to erase. At the door, Daniel stopped me. "Ryan's family is old money. One wrong move and this deal dies. Don't embarrass us." I nodded once, got in my car, and drove away. Somewhere on the road, a name surfaced in my mind. Whitmore. I knew it. Not from Vanessa. From work? The next morning, I confirmed it. Whitmore Heritage Foundation. Our firm's biggest project, the Ashford Ridge Heritage Restoration, an old textile mill being rebuilt into a community arts center. Client contact was Eleanor Whitmore, Ryan's mother. I had been the lead architect for 6 months. Emails, calls, plans. She knew my work. She knew S. Carter Vale. She didn't know my face. I didn't plan to use that connection, but I didn't ignore it either. If everything went wrong, I wouldn't be invisible. That night, Evan called. "The venue is set. Full AV system. Slideshow. Speeches. Everything." Then he added, "The AV company is short-staffed. I already applied. You don't have to do this." I said, "I'm not changing what they'll do." He replied calmly, "I'm just making sure you're not walking in blind." By Wednesday, he was confirmed. Full access to the projector, USB inputs, and sound system. So I built something of my own. Not revenge. Truth. Photos, degrees, licenses, projects. Everything they erased. The first slide read, "The real Celinda Carter." I saved it and handed the USB to Evan. "You're not going to war," he said. "But if they start something, you'll be ready." 1 week before the wedding, Daniel cleared my name at the nursing home. 30 minutes. Supervised. My mother present. Silver oak smelled like disinfectant and overcooked food. My mother stayed in the hallway, already on her phone. She didn't come in. My grandmother looked smaller than I remembered. Fragile, but her eyes were still sharp. She reached for my hand immediately. "You're strong," she said softly. "I can see it. I'm okay." Her grip tightened. "Don't let them break you again. You're the strongest one in this family." Then she reached under her pillow and pulled out an envelope. "Marina helped me hide this." Inside was a photocopy of a deed. The 2-acre parcel she gave me when I was 16. Still in my name. Untouched. "That land is yours," she said. It always was. I stared at it. 16 years believing Daniel had taken it. He hadn't. "He tells people it's his," she whispered. "But it's not." A knock interrupted us. "Time's up." My mother called. I folded the paper and slipped it into my jacket. "I'll come back," I whispered. "That's my girl." When I stepped out, my mother didn't ask how she was. She checked her reflection instead. "Let's go. I have a fitting." I followed her out into the cold air. But I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I left with something I had never truly had before. My grandmother's trust, and proof that the story I had believed for 16 years was never true. 6 days before the wedding, I sat in my apartment while Evan reviewed the presentation I had built. He didn't rush. He read every slide carefully. The first slide showed me at graduation, standing alone but smiling. The caption read that no one came, but I went anyway. The second showed my architecture license. The third, a job site with me holding blueprints. The fourth, an award. The fifth was simple text stating the truth about everything they had called me. Evan nodded. Clean. Just facts. That's the point. I said. I don't want to attack them. I want the truth to be louder than their joke. He asked about the land. I said no. That wasn't who I was. Then he asked, what's the trigger? I showed him my phone. One word. Begin. When I send it. You switch the slideshow. He nodded. 3 seconds. And if their version is harmless, then I don't send it. He studied me. You really think they'll keep it harmless? I didn't answer right away. I need to give them one last chance. I said. So I know I didn't start it. 5 days before the wedding. Daniel called. Rules. He said. You sit at table 14. You don't speak unless spoken to. You don't mention your personal life. You say you work reception. Clear yes. And after the wedding, I can see Grandma Elise. We'll see. Depends on your behavior. He hung up. That night, I was added to a group chat. My mother, Daniel, Vanessa. The slideshow preview loaded. Family photos appeared first. Then mine. Distorted. Edited. Mocked. Then the labels. Dropout. Divorced. Broke. Alone. Infertile. Vanessa typed that it would be hilarious. My mother replied to keep it tasteful. Not take it down. Not stop. Just tasteful. I took screenshots and sent them to Evan. Then I opened my own presentation. 5 slides. Truth. I added one more. A quote about how a family treats its most vulnerable. I saved it and closed the laptop. This time. I didn't hesitate. The wedding day arrived clear and bright. Ashford Ridge Community Church was full. Luxury cars outside. Important people inside. I wore my navy dress. Not the beige one my mother chose. Inside. Every seat was taken. The Whitmores sat in the front. I sat in the last row. No one greeted me. Daniel moved through the aisle, shaking hands. So proud of my daughter. He said, he didn't mean me. My mother smiled near the altar. Both my daughters are here today, she said lightly. Even the difficult one. The ceremony began. Ryan looked sincere, nervous. Vanessa looked perfect, polished, near the entrance. Evan adjusted cables. Our eyes met for a second. He nodded. Everything was ready. The reception was at the country club. Crystal chandeliers, white tables, a large screen behind the head table. I was placed at table 14, back corner, near the kitchen. Noise and heat behind me. People at my table didn't know me. What do you do? Someone asked. I'm an architect. Oh, how nice. Then she turned away. On stage, Vanessa began her speech. She thanked everyone, then looked toward me and my sister Celinda, who actually showed up. A pause. That's something. Right, scattered laughter. Uncertain. At the head table. Daniel raised his glass toward Richard Whitmore. Talking business, like nothing else mattered. Daniel leans toward Richard Whitmore, speaking quietly. Numbers and deals hidden behind polite smiles. Eleanor sits beside them, composed, watching everything. Her glass remains untouched, held more like a prop than something she plans to drink. My mother appears beside me without warning. I smell her perfume before I see her. Don't drink too much. She murmurs, don't talk about yourself. And smile. I smile, not because she told me to, because I know what's coming. In less than 20 minutes, their slideshow will play. And I already know exactly what they've prepared. I'm sitting at table 14 with food I won't touch, and a family that wishes I'd stayed invisible. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been placed in the background by people who were supposed to stand beside you? Not questioned, not challenged, just accepted as normal. Because what happens next in that room is the reason I'm telling this story. The lights dim. The maid of honor steps forward, smiling like she's been waiting for this moment. And now, she says, a special presentation from the Carter family. The screen flickers on. Soft piano music fills the room, photos of Vanessa as a child. Missing teeth. Dance recitals. Birthday candles. Family vacations. My mother laughing in sunlight. Daniel with his arm around Vanessa near the ocean. I'm not in any of them. Not once. The room watches quietly. Eleanor smiles politely. Richard pats his son's shoulder. Then come the couple photos. Vanessa and Ryan at vineyards. Games. Holiday dinners. Each one earns gentle applause. The music shifts. Lighter. Playful. A drum roll echoes softly. The screen changes. And now, the rest of the family. Vanessa beams from the head table. She catches my eye across the room and gives me a small, deliberate wave. My mother leans back in her chair, satisfied, like she's been waiting for this moment all night. My stomach tightens, not from fear, from certainty. I already know what's coming. Under the table, my phone is in my hand. The message is ready. One word. Begin. My thumb hovers over the screen. I make myself a promise. If the next slide is harmless, if there's even a trace of decency, I won't press it. I'll sit through it. I'll leave quietly. I'll let them have their night. One last chance. The screen changes. My face appears. An old high school photo. Blurry. Unflattering. At the bottom. Bold white text. High school dropout. A few people laugh. Uneasy. Some glance toward me. I don't react. Next slide. A broken heart icon. Divorced. The laughter grows. Stronger now. More confident. Next. A cartoon wallet. Empty. Broke. Someone nearby snorts into their drink. Next. A single place setting. One chair. One plate. Alone. Vanessa is laughing at the head table. My mother watches calmly, sipping her wine, studying the room like she's judging the reaction. Then the final slide appears. A baby icon. A red X across it. Infertile. The word fills the screen. For a moment. The room goes quiet. The kind of silence that comes when people realize something went too far. Then a few laughs break through. Awkward. Uneven. Vanessa leans into the microphone. Don't laugh too hard. She says, she might actually cry. My mother swirls her wine, watching me. Daniel meets my eyes from across the room. Just a joke. He says, relax. Across the room, Eleanor Whitmore doesn't laugh, not even a smile. She sets her glass down slowly. Her jaw tightens. At that moment, I press send and chose to expose the truth in front of everyone instead of staying silent. If you think I was right to do that, to stand up and not let them humiliate me anymore, drop a 1 in the comments. I want to know, would you have done the same? Or would you have stayed quiet? Eleanor looks from Daniel to the screen, then to me. I feel the heat rise in my face. My hands tremble. Everything narrows to one word. Infertile. My medical history. My private pain. Thrown onto a 10-foot screen for strangers to laugh at. That was the line. And they didn't just cross it. They made sure everyone saw it. I look around. 200 faces. Some laughing. Some avoiding eye contact. Some pretending to check their phones because they don't know where to look. Vanessa is smiling. Radiant. This is her favorite moment of the night. Not the vows. Not the celebration. This. Watching me sit there, exposed. My mother lifts her glass slightly, a quiet toast to her own cruelty. Daniel has already turned away, back to Richard Whitmore, continuing his conversation like nothing happened. Like this is normal. Like this is harmless. I lower my gaze to my phone. The message is still there. One word. Begin. I think about my grandmother, her hands shaking as she gave me that envelope. Her voice. Don't let them break you again. I inhale slowly. I'm not breaking. My thumb presses send. 1 second. 2. 3. The slideshow freezes. The screen goes black. Vanessa frowns. Technical issue. She gestures toward the back. Can someone fix that behind the AV booth? Evan moves. Calm. Precise. He removes her USB. Inserts mine. No hesitation. The screen comes back to life. White text. Dark background. Clear. Unmistakable. The real Celinda Carter. The room falls silent. Not polite silence. Complete silence. Every conversation stops. Every head turns. Daniel stands up abruptly. What is this? He snaps. Turn it off. He looks toward the AV booth. Evan doesn't move. The system is locked. The only way to stop it is to cut the power. And Evan made sure that door was sealed 20 minutes ago. For the first time in 16 years, Daniel can't control the narrative. The first slide appears. Me, graduation day, cap and gown, standing alone, diploma in hand. The caption reads, "No one came to my graduation. I went anyway." A ripple moves through the room. Someone gasps softly. Next slide. My license. Framed. Official. Licensed architect, State of North Carolina. The murmurs grow. Next. A job site. Hard hat. Steel-toe boots. Blueprints in my hands. Behind me, the frame of a restored courthouse. Senior architect. Hawthorne and Vale. People start turning. One head, then another, then an entire table looking back at me. Next slide. An award. Rising Architect of the Year. Eleanor Whitmore's hand pauses midair, her glass untouched. The final slide appears. White text. Black background. You called me a dropout. I earned my degree. You called me broke. I own my home. You called me a failure. I build for a living. I stand up from table 14. I don't move forward. I don't speak. I just stand where I am, near the kitchen doors, and face the room. Daniel's expression shifts, something between anger and disbelief. This is ridiculous, he says sharply. She probably faked all of this. Vanessa's smile disappears. Turn it off. She snaps. This is my wedding. My mother doesn't move. Her glass frozen in her hand, color draining from her face. Then the final slide appears. The one I added myself. The measure of a family is not how they celebrate their best, it's how they treat their most vulnerable. I stay silent. I don't need to say anything. The screen is enough. Daniel steps forward quickly, hands raised, smile back in place. Controlled, polished. The same one he uses in every public room. Ladies and gentlemen, he says. I apologize for the interruption. My older daughter has always had a flair for drama. Daniel says with a forced chuckle. No one laughs. This is clearly a misunderstanding. He walks toward me. The crowd shifts, creating space without realizing it. His shoes echo against the floor. When he reaches table 14, his voice drops. But not enough. Sit down, he says quietly. Right now, or you'll never see your grandmother again. I look at him. This man who built his life on control, who built homes, and tore people down inside them. I answer just as quietly. You've used Grandma Elise to control me my whole life. I hold his gaze. That ends tonight. His jaw tightens. I will call security. A chair scrapes loudly. Ryan Whitmore stands. Wait. He looks at Daniel. Then at me. Let her speak. Vanessa grabs his arm. Ryan. He pulls away. Something's not right here. He says, I want to hear this. The room shifts. You can feel it. Attention turning. People reassessing. My mother stands suddenly. Her voice shakes. Celinda. Please. You're embarrassing yourself. I look at her. The woman who watched me be erased. Who handed me a dress meant to make me disappear. No. I say calmly. For the first time. I'm not. At the front table. Eleanor Whitmore hasn't moved. But her eyes have. They're fixed on the screen. On my name. On my work. Something in her expression changes. I step away from the table. Not fast. Not hesitant. Just steady. I walk into the center of the room. Between tables. Between conversations that have already stopped. 200 people watching. No music. No distractions. Just silence. I didn't drop out. I say. My voice is even. Clear. My stepfather pulled my tuition when I was 17. Because I refused to sign over land my grandmother gave me. Daniel starts to speak. I don't stop. I wasn't abandoned by accident. I continue. I was told to leave. I pause. And not come back. I was 18. I say. With $43 and a duffel bag? My mother's hand trembles slightly against her glass. My divorce? I continue. I married someone this family approved of. He controlled everything. I left. I hold the silence. That's not failure. That's survival. At table 5. A woman lifts her napkin to her face. Her husband places a hand on her shoulder. And infertile. I look straight at Vanessa. That's a medical condition. Not a joke. My voice stays steady. And you put it on a screen in front of 200 people. Vanessa's smile falters. Her lips part. But nothing comes out. I turn to my mother. You helped create those slides. And you handed me a dress meant to erase me. Then to Daniel. You told me to sit in the back. Stay quiet. Not embarrass you. I let the pause stretch. The only embarrassment in this room is what you just did to your own daughter. Silence. Complete. Even the staff stop moving. Then a chair shifts. Slow. Deliberate. Eleanor Whitmore stands. She walks toward me with quiet authority. The room parts without being asked. She stops a few feet away. Her gaze moves from me to the screen behind us. My name. My title. Still visible. S. Carter Vale. She says softly. Like she's confirming something. Then she looks at me. You're the architect on the Ashford Heritage Project. Yes. She turns. Not quickly. Carefully. Making sure everyone sees. Her eyes land on Daniel. Mr. Carter, she says, her voice calm but precise. The woman you just humiliated is the architect my foundation hired to restore the most important site in this town. The color drains from his face. I watch it happen. Confidence replaced by something exposed. I didn't know, he says. You didn't know, she replies, because you never cared to know your own daughter. A ripple moves through the room. Whispers. Phones lifting. People turning. Vanessa stands abruptly. This is ridiculous, she says, her voice sharp. She's lying. She reaches for Ryan's hand. He doesn't take it. My mother steps forward next, her smile strained. Eleanor, please, this is a private matter. Eleanor doesn't look at her. You made it public, she says. The moment you put it on that screen. The room exhales. All at once. Like something has finally shifted. No one is watching the bride anymore. Daniel tries to recover. He always does. He straightens slightly, forcing a smile. Eleanor, let's not overreact, he says, voice smooth again. It was just a joke. You know how families are. I know how families are, Eleanor says calmly, and we don't put our children's medical history on a screen for entertainment. She turns to Ryan. Son, we need to talk. Privately. Tonight. He nods slowly. He hasn't taken his eyes off Vanessa. There's no anger in his face. Something colder. Recognition. He looks at her. You told me Celinda was unstable. He says, that she had issues? That she was jealous of you. Vanessa's voice cracks. She is jealous. She's a licensed architect with awards. Ryan cuts in. And you put that on a screen at our wedding. Daniel steps forward quickly, lowering his voice. Eleanor, let's talk about the Ridgeway partnership. She raises her hand. That's all it takes. The partnership, she repeats, almost thoughtfully. After what I just saw, there is no partnership. Daniel freezes. His mouth opens. Nothing comes out. His hand drops slowly to his side. My mother makes a sound. Sharp. Uncontrolled. This can't be happening, she whispers. Not to me, not to anyone, just to the air in front of her. I stay where I am. No smile. No reaction. Just standing. And for the first time in my life, that's enough. Daniel just lost the deal. Vanessa just lost control of her own wedding, and my mother is crying. Not for me. For the image. For what people will say. No one tells me to sit down. No one tells me to be quiet. So tell me, if you were in my place, would you have pressed begin? Or walked away? Comment 1 for begin. 2 for walk away. Because what happened next, I didn't plan. Vanessa recovers fast. She always has. I watch it happen in real time. Her face breaks. Not slowly. Instantly. Tears fill her eyes. She rushes forward. Hands pressed to her chest. This is my day, she says, her voice trembling perfectly. She's always been jealous of me. She turns to the crowd, mascara starting to run. I invited her because I wanted her here. The slideshow was just a joke. She's twisting everything. A few people shift. Uncertain. There it is. That moment. Doubt creeping back in. For a moment. The room wavers. People hesitate. Maybe the crying bride is the victim. Vanessa turns sharply to Ryan. You're choosing her. On our wedding day. My mother rushes to her side, wrapping an arm around her. My baby. They're attacking my baby. She looks at Eleanor, eyes shining. Can't you see what she's doing for a second? Doubt spreads. Tears are powerful. A bride crying is powerful. I see it in a few faces. Then Eleanor speaks. Quiet. Controlled. She doesn't raise her voice. She just takes out her phone and glances at the screen behind us. Funny, she says. She reads the words out loud. Infertile. Failure. Alone. Then she looks at Vanessa. Which part was the joke? The doubt disappears. Instantly. The room settles again. Like a verdict just decided. Vanessa is still crying, but it doesn't carry weight anymore. She's ruining my wedding. She says, I don't raise my voice. I didn't make the slideshow. I say calmly. You did. Eleanor turns back to Daniel. Now her voice changes. Sharper. Precise. The Ridgeway project, she says. You told us every parcel was secured. Fully consolidated. Daniel stiffens. It is. I wasn't planning to say anything. I hadn't rehearsed this. But something clicks. The envelope in my pocket. The paper my grandmother gave me. I reach into my jacket, pull it out. Hold it up. That's not true. I say. The room turns. Every eye. The central parcel. I continue. The one my grandmother gave me when I was 16 is still in my name. I unfold the paper. I have the deed. Daniel's face changes. Not the public version, the real one. The one I remember from years ago. Eleanor looks at the document. Then at him. You were planning to build on land that doesn't belong to you, she says. Without telling us. She was supposed to sign it over. Daniel snaps. I was 18. I reply. You tried to force me? I said no. You threw me out. I fold the paper slowly and put it back. And you've been telling everyone it was yours ever since. Richard Whitmore stands, calm, deliberate. He buttons his jacket. The kind of movement that means he's already decided to leave. Eleanor holds Daniel's gaze one last time. Mr. Carter. We're done here. Daniel turns to me, his voice stripped of control. You ungrateful enough. Ryan steps forward, firm and final. That's enough. Mr. Carter. Something in my mother breaks. The smile disappears. Years of control collapse in seconds. The Whitmores are already walking away. The deal is gone. And for the first time. People are looking at her without admiration. She turns on me, shaking. You think you're better than us? You had nothing when you left. You're right, I say calmly. I had nothing. Because you made sure of it. I did what was best for this family. You did what was best for the image. She looks around for support. Finds none. This is embarrassing. Family issues, she says weakly. No one agrees. An older woman stands. I've known Elise Carter for 50 years. She says, she would be ashamed of what you've done. She leaves, then others follow. No speeches, no drama, just quiet exits. My mother sinks into a chair. The room empties around her. Vanessa sits alone. Ryan stands near the door. Daniel remains frozen in the center. 16 years of silence. Ending here. I don't take the microphone. I didn't come to ruin your wedding. I say. I came because Grandma Elise asked me to. She still believes this family can be better. Vanessa lowers her head. I don't hate any of you. I continue. But I'm done being your joke. Daniel finally meets my eyes. Red. If you want me in your life. It starts with respect. No conditions. No performance. Just respect. I pick up my clutch and smooth my dress. And if you can't do that, this is goodbye. I walk past them. No one stops me. At the door, Eleanor calls my name. Monday morning, my office. We have work to finish. I nod and step outside. The night air is cold. The parking lot half empty. I sit in my car, hands on the wheel. A knock. Evan. He hands me a coffee. You okay? No. But I'm better than I've been in years. We sit in silence, watching people leave. No laughter now. My phone buzzes. Ryan. I'm sorry. We need to talk. I don't know what comes next. Then Marina. Your grandmother saw everything. She watched it live. I hold my breath. She's laughing. Marina writes. She said. That's my girl. I close my eyes. I can see her. Proud. Another message. Eleanor. Your land is secure. Daniel Carter won't be building on it. I reply. Thank you. Then I set the phone down. And for the first time that night, I breathe. I text Marina first. Tell her I love Grandma Elise. Then Ryan. I'm sorry too. For all of it. I don't reply to Daniel. Or my mother. Or Vanessa. Everything that needed to be said was already said. Evan starts the car. Where to hotel? I say. Home tomorrow. We pull out. In the mirror. The country club fades into the distance. Ashford Ridge is a small town. And small towns talk. Within a week, everything shifts. I don't see it firsthand. I hear it from Marina, from Evan, from quiet updates and screenshots. My mother is removed from the Autumn Gala committee. No announcement, just an email. Restructuring this year. Thank you for your contributions. She calls people. No one answers. Daniel loses 2 business partners in 10 days. A developer backs out. A contractor ends a 15-year partnership. Nothing dramatic. Just distance. The company doesn't collapse. But the cracks show. And in a town like that, reputation matters more than anything. Cracks spread fast. Vanessa and Ryan start to unravel. He suggests counseling. She refuses, calls it insulting. 2 weeks later, he moves out. Not divorced, not together, just separate. My mother's book club relocates. No one tells her. They just stop coming. I don't follow any of it closely. I'm back in Hawthorne City, at my desk. Working, blueprints, deadlines, real things. Evan shows me a post during lunch. A photo of the screen from that night. This happened at the Whitmore Carter wedding. Shame on them. Dozens of comments. Reactions climbing. You didn't do this to them, he says, closing the laptop. I know, I reply. They did it to themselves. I take another bite of my sandwich. It tastes better than anything from that night. 3 weeks later, I'm reviewing plans for the Heritage Project. Final presentation coming up. My phone rings. Daniel. I almost ignore it. Then I answer. He doesn't apologize. He never does. The land. He says, name your price. Let's settle this. I don't hesitate. It's not for sale. A pause. It was Grandma Elise's gift. I continue. It stays mine. Silence fills the line. And for once, I don't feel small inside it. You're destroying this family over a piece of dirt. Daniel says. You destroyed it 16 years ago. I reply. When you chose land over your daughter. Silence. Long. Heavy. I did what I thought was right. He says finally. So did I. Another pause. Then his voice shifts. Quieter. Your grandmother isn't your leverage anymore. I know. I say. I contacted Silver Oaks directly. I'm listed as her emergency contact now. I can visit anytime. He exhales slowly, like something just slipped out of his control. You always were stubborn. I learned from you. I wait. For an apology. For anything real. But it never comes. He hangs up. I set my phone down. No shaking hands. No racing thoughts. There was a time this would have unraveled me. That time is gone. I turn back to my work. 2 weeks later. Sunday morning. Coffee brewing. My phone lights up. Vanessa. I let it ring. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then I answer. Her voice is different. Flat. Tired. Ryan moved out. She says, Mom won't stop crying. Dad barely talks. I sit down. Say nothing. The slideshow. It was wrong. She continues. I know that. She stops. Starts again. I don't know why I did it. A shaky breath. I've always been like that. And no one ever stopped me. Because they were too busy doing it first. Silence fills the line. I don't know who I am without being the favorite, she says. And for the first time, she sounds honest. I could say a lot. Every moment she hurt me, every time I was erased. But I don't. That means it's time to figure it out. I say. A pause. Without me as the target. Can we start over? I don't know. I answer. Then softer. But you can start by talking to someone. Not Mom. Not Dad. Someone who tells you the truth. Another silence. Then. Okay. We don't say I love you. We don't say goodbye. We just stay on the line for a few seconds. breathing. Then it ends. I set the phone down and look out the window. Morning light settles softly over the trees. No tears, just tired, but lighter. The next Saturday, I drive to Silver Oaks Care Center. No call ahead, no permission, no time limit. Marina meets me at the front desk with a knowing smile. She's been waiting. She says, "She watched your slideshow again this morning." I almost laugh. In the sunroom, Marina adds, "Strong day. The room is bright, warm, filled with light and quiet." My grandmother sits by the window, a blanket across her lap. Her hair catches the sun. She sees me, and her face lights up. Not polite, not controlled. Real. She reaches for my hand immediately. "You stood up," she says, "in front of all those people. You taught me how." I reply. She squeezes my fingers. "Now tell me everything." So I do. The GED. The diner shifts. College. My first project. A small library no one talks about. The courthouse. The awards. The life I built. She listens to all of it. Asks questions. Laughs at the parts where I had nothing. No one interrupts. No one knocks. Outside. An old tree stretches across the lawn. Strong. Rooted. Like the one on the land she gave me. Some things can't be taken. 3 months later. I'm back at my desk. Monday morning. Coffee in hand. On the wall is a new framed rendering. The Ashford Heritage Project. Brick restored. Windows open to light. A space rebuilt. Eleanor's foundation approved everything. Next month. I present to the town council. The same town, the same people. But this time, I stand as myself. The land stays untouched. For now. Sometimes I imagine a small house there. A porch. A place for my grandmother to sit. Maybe one day. Her surgery went well. No complications. She's in therapy now. Walking again. Complaining about the food. I visit every 2 weeks. And this time, no one stops me. We talk about her garden, my projects, the weather. Nothing about Daniel. It's quiet, peaceful. He hasn't called again. My mother sent one message. "I'm sorry." 2 words. No follow-up. I read it. I didn't reply. I'm not ready. Maybe I never will be. That's allowed. Vanessa started therapy. Ryan moved back in a month later, on the condition they keep going. Marina told me Vanessa visited Grandma Elise. First time in over a year. She brought flowers. She seemed different. Marina said, quieter. I don't know what that means yet. But it matters. Evan and I started a new project. A small schoolhouse in the valley. Limited budget. Honest work. The kind that reminds me why I chose this life. Most mornings, I eat breakfast alone, coffee, toast. Silence. But alone doesn't mean lonely. I learned that the day I stopped sitting at table 14. This morning, I stand in front of my mirror. Navy blazer, white blouse, hair pulled back. On my dresser is an invitation. Ashford Ridge Town Council. My name printed clearly. Celinda Carter, Senior Architect. Just mine. No borrowed name. No compromise. I run my thumb across the letters. 6 months ago. I sat in the back of a church while my stepfather shook hands like he owned everything. 4 months ago. I stood in a room where my life was turned into a joke. Today, I drive back. But not to that house. Not to ask for a place. I'm going to the mill. The one I'm rebuilding. Piece by piece. The same way I rebuilt myself. They called me divorced. A failure. Broken. Alone. Some of that is true. None of it defines me. You don't need your family's permission to live a meaningful life. You just need to stop asking for it. I grab my keys, step outside. The air is sharp, clean, the kind of morning that feels like a beginning. I drive toward Ashford Ridge, toward the work, not the past. The road stretches ahead, mountains in the distance, and I'm not going home. I'm moving forward. I learned that respect is not something you wait for. It's something you decide you deserve. Walking away from silence and standing up for myself didn't fix my family, but it changed me in a way nothing else could. If you were in my place, would you stay quiet or finally speak? Did you stay with me until the end? Thank you for listening. If this story made you think differently, even just a little, consider subscribing, leaving a comment, or sharing it. Your one action might reach someone who feels invisible right now and remind them they're allowed to take their place too.